Turn off your lights. Make sure your doors and windows are locked. Things are about to get spooky. Glitch in the Matrix or Quantum Immortality by SimMinnie. This happened 24 years ago in the year 1999. I completely forgot about this incident until I read a Reddit post very similar to my own experience, and it jogged my memory. This will be a long story, but I really appreciate your comments as to what actually happened that day. To those of you who read to the end, I thank you in advance. I was home from college for summer visiting my family. One day, I asked my mom to borrow the car so I could visit my friends who stay at the dorms during the summer vacation. She said I could have it, but I needed to be home before 10 a.m. the next morning because she needed the car the next day. My college was about an hour's drive from my house, on a good day. Some friends of mine would make it in 45. The fastest drive time I had heard of was 35 minutes. Late at night, no traffic, driving like the wind. I got to my friend's house, our dorm residence, in the early evening, and we decided to drive down to the nearest casino, about a 30-minute drive, to pass the night. We were in a group of about 5, 2 of my roommates, 2 other friends from our dorm, and I. We had a great time playing the quarter slot machines. Once we all were tired and were ready to leave, we headed to the lobby doors and realized it was early morning, around 5 a.m., and it was pouring rain. It was raining so hard, we could barely see the first row of parked cars just in front of the lobby. We waited for about 30 minutes or so for the rain to slow down to a drizzle so we could drive home, and made the 30-minute drive without incident. When we got to the dorm, it was around 6 a.m. and the rain was pouring down again, so I resolved to wait out as long as I could. I still had to return the car to my mom, and I had at least an hour's drive, if not longer, due to the weather. When I left the dorm, it was 7 a.m. One of my roommates stayed up with me until I left, and we both knew the time as I was leaving. I got in my car a few minutes later and started driving towards the highway. I was really tired since I basically pulled an all-nighter at the casino, but I had to drive home to return the car to my mom. I do not recommend driving tired. I told myself I'll be fine. I cranked up the radio to my favorite station, lit a cigarette, opened the window for some fresh air, and so off I went. Again, please do not drive while tired. Within 10 minutes or so, as I was driving on the highway, the rain started pouring again. It was so bad I could barely see the wipers of my car. They were at the fastest setting, and it was like they weren't doing anything. But the rain was kinda hypnotizing. The rhythm sort of started lulling me to sleep, but I didn't really notice. My blinks kept getting slower and slower. What happened next was in the span of about 3 to 5 seconds, not more. It's kinda hard to explain. I was awake one moment, sort of, and the next my consciousness wakes up to darkness. Kind of like when you wake up in the morning but you haven't opened your eyes yet and you are slowly starting to be aware of your surroundings. How comfortable and warm you are in your bed, etc. That's basically what happened. I'm aware of being awake, but it's dark. I don't even notice my eyes are closed. I'm comfortable, but I seem to be in a sitting position. My hands are holding on to something, but I'm not sure what it is exactly. I'm just really comfortable and I don't want to change. I keep thinking, just 5 more minutes. I don't know for how long my eyes were actually closed. Suddenly, I heard a really loud crash, almost sounded like a clap, but unlike anything I ever heard before. It sounded like metal on metal, but I wasn't sure. It got me to open my eyes, and the first thing I noticed is that I'm in my car, and all I see from the window is a wave of water headed towards my windshield really fast. When it hit the windshield of the car, it sounded like glass should have broken from the impact. It was the loudest slap sound I had ever heard before or since. I'm in momentary shock as I take in my surroundings. I'm still in my car, driving perfectly straight in the leftmost lane. On my left is a concrete barrier just a couple of feet away. On my right, I was just overtaken by a huge 18-wheeler truck. That's what made the waves slap my windshield. Heart pounding, I rub my eyes and force them open as far as they'll go, determined to stay awake. I turned the music louder and opened the window to let the rain hit me in the face, along with some much-needed fresh air. The entire time I was thinking, holy shit, I could have died. I probably should have died. Then another thought hit me. What the fuck was that loud crash I heard? The time elapsed between the first and second clap was about 1 second. Me hearing the loud clap, opening my eyes to a wave that crashes to the window was another, but different sounding. Loud clap. But this wasn't the craziest part yet. Since the rain was very strong, I wasn't driving more than 50 to 60 kilometers an hour as opposed to the normal 100 kilometers an hour. This means that the trip should have taken twice as long as it normally would. I figured I should be home by 9 a.m. at the latest. The rest of the drive was uneventful, and I made it to my building, drove into the very large garage, and all the way back to my parents' parking spot. Then I walked back around to the elevators by the entrance and took the elevator to the 19th floor. Walking down a long hallway to the apartment, went to my room and crashed on the bed, right before I passed out from fatigue and probably shock. I remembered to send my roommate a text message to let them know I made it home safe. I was so tired I didn't even check what time it was. I just crashed. I woke up to a bunch of messages from my roommate. I don't remember them verbatim, but they were something like, "What? No way. You must be joking. Where are you? Hello? How did you get home so fast? No way you're already home. Are you okay?" It takes me a while to figure out what she's talking about while remembering my Halloween journey from the morning, because it was then that I noticed the time of the text that I had sent her before I went to sleep. It was showing 7:20 a.m. There's no way that it's possible to travel around 90 kilometers in the span of 20 minutes in a rainstorm, where you can't even see the lanes on the road or even the hood of your own car, while trying desperately not to fall asleep and apparently failing at that. I don't know what to make of this. After reading a whole bunch of other stories on the subreddit, I'm pretty sure it may have been either a case of quantum immortality or a glitch in the Matrix. However, ever since that day, I have been experienced to all kinds of paranormal phenomena through the years. I'm pretty sure this was the catalytic event to them all. Well, all except for one. I'll tell you about that in another post if you request. Anyway, sorry for the length of this story. I just wanted to write down as many details as I can remember to share them with you all. This memory is now so clear as if it happened yesterday. I will never forget it. Thanks for listening to my story. He smiled when he looked out the window. He saw the whole town dancing. For the next few days, the dancing continued without rest, and there was no longer cause to smile. My glitch experience. What do you guys think happened? By petalpotions. Hey you all, a little backstory is needed here for you all to understand the situation I was in at the time. I have pretty bad chronic pain, and I've dealt with chronic pain since I was 14. I was on pain medication for quite a while until laws got pretty strict in late 2019/early 2020 when I was 20 years old, and I was forced to go off of them. This ended up with me going to a detox center while I was going through withdrawals. Typical withdrawal symptoms for me were extreme body aches, nausea, weakness, just general misery. Every day at the center, the staff would order us lunch and dinner. We eat it in the cafe space. One day, they ordered us Greek food. I had this yi and a big drink, but my stomach was feeling pretty horrible due to the withdrawal, so I decided to just throw it away and head back to my room. I remember very clearly getting up, throwing my food in the trash, dumping my big cup of water down the sink in the corner, and walking back to my room. 10 minutes or so later, one of the staff walks into my room and asks me, "Hey, are you done eating?" Obviously, I was super confused because, yeah, I threw my food away before I went back to my room. And I told him this, but he gave me a look like I was weird and asked me, "Are you sure? 'Cause it's right on the table where you left it." I told him I was 100% sure that I'd even bet on it. I walked with him back to the cafe and he was right. My food and my drink was there in the same spot like I never even touched it in the first place, even though I had such a vivid and clear memory of getting up and throwing everything away. I don't know what the fuck happened, to be honest. I had never had hallucinations as a withdrawal symptom. None of the medications the center staff were giving me to help with those symptoms would have caused hallucinations. And I had the same medication before anyways. No one in my family experienced hallucinations or has had any mental problems that would have caused them. I was not on any pain medication or any kind of intoxication for 3 days at the very least at that point. I don't know if it was some sort of prank from the staff, or if I just completely imagined that entire part of my day. It still weirds me out, and to this day, 3 years later, I still don't really have any explanation for what happened. I remember everything so clearly, yet apparently it didn't happen. Recently, a Florida man claimed that he saw an alien meeting in the Everglades where they were finalizing their plans to invade Earth. Everyone who laughed at him and called him crazy was screaming in terror a few hours later, as the global alien invasion began with extreme prejudice. I saw an entire building disappear by Megan June 03. I finally had enough karma to post this in this group. Sorry if you've seen this elsewhere. I never posted on Reddit before, so I had to post to make the karma. I'm a lurker. But I'm hoping my story will make the most sense in this group. Sorry in advance for the long read, but this happened to me yesterday afternoon and I've been trying to find people with similar experiences / explanations as to what happened. A disclaimer before you read. 1. I appreciate all viewpoints and theories to this experience, but please do be kind. I have been accused of having a mental illness / lying in very mean ways. I'm a 19-year-old girl and I never posted on Reddit before because I'm shy and don't want to read mean things about myself. 2. I'm a mental health and nursing student. We have to have multiple appointments from occupational therapists to see if we are fit for the role. My last appointment was on Tuesday. I got the all clear. I've been doing this for a year. I never had any hallucinations, except for the bird, which I'll explain later, and I have no history of mental illness. It is also a very obscure course, and if my lecturers, classmates, and therapists thought I had any issue whatsoever, I would be assisted and helped as necessary. So while I appreciate that this may have been a microdream or hallucination, I do not accept or agree with this accusation of being delusional per se. It's sad that I have to put a disclaimer, but it seems as though some people don't realize how words can affect other people. Please just remember that kindness goes a long way nowadays, more than ever. Sorry for the rambling. Here we go. I go to university and I'm on campus 3 days a week. I do healthcare, so I'm in a specific building 95% of the time. It's very old, built in the 1800s, and gives me the creeps. Today I was in the same room for 3.5 hours, 2 different lectures. I've never been in this room before. I sat in the same seat for the entire time, on the far left of the room next to the bare wall. The whole right side of the room had windows looking out over the campus. I got distracted as one does during a lecture and looked outside. I saw a tall white concrete building. It must have been about 10 stories tall, with absolutely no windows. On top was a large box with wires above it. Though I wasn't creeped out by this, I did think to myself that it was odd how I never seen this building on campus, as it was fairly close to the building I was in. To the left was two normal looking buildings, both with windows and no giant box on top. After my first lecture finished, the teacher swapped over. We joked with our new teacher about being in a different building for our next semester, as ours was cold and creepy. The building we wanted to be in was about a 2-minute walk away. To that, my lecturer replied, "It's only over there," after someone had complained about it being too far away to move to. She pointed out the window in the direction of the odd building I had seen earlier. It was completely gone, and replaced by what looked like an old clock tower. At first, I just thought I must have leaned to the left or right earlier when I looked out the window, so I checked again, moved all around my seat to try and see the white building again. It was gone. I immediately felt spooked. The trees that were in front of the building I saw were still there. The two buildings to the left were still there. But no white building. I didn't say anything to my friends at the time, but when the lecture ended, I did a double take and actually went over to the window to look. No building at all. I later told my friend, and she joked that I must have been seeing things or shifting dimensions. I laughed it off, but I was, and still am, extremely unsettled, and I have no idea why I feel so off about it. Seeing it doesn't seem like a big deal. I've had experience in the past of seeing pigeons disappear whilst flying in open air, but this is before the glitch in the Matrix talk was around like it is now. So I just put it down to be in my head imagining things. Does anyone have any ideas? Was it a time slip or a glitch? I definitely don't have hallucinations, and I looked at that white building for long enough to know it was there. I've googled my campus to see if there is any buildings that look similar near where I learn, but there's absolutely none. I found the two buildings to the left and the clock tower though. I know it might not seem believable, but it's what I saw. Any conspiracies to what happened is greatly appreciated. Sorry for the long read. There was a note next to the baby basket on the front porch, but before even thinking to read it, I reached my shaking hands to move the blanket covering the bundle. Gagging when the smell hit my nose in the arid heat, I cursed myself for going on vacation and accidentally leaving my kitchen lights on. Boyfriend literally disappears and reappears after a late shift by HannahBeeArt. I've been looking for somewhere to share this story for such a long time. Long post. About 3 years ago, my partner and I lived on the top floor flat. 5th floor, no elevator, stairs only flat on the floor. It wasn't okay sized, but small enough that you could hear anything going on from any room really. They were all very close together. There was one corridor connecting all the rooms so you crossed each other if you were changing rooms. I was working a late shift, got in around 11:30ish, maybe midnight. Boyfriend was obviously already in bed, so I came in, went straight to the bathroom, washed up, got changed, wind down, etc. Potted in the kitchen for maybe 10 minutes, had a drink, and then headed to the bedroom for the night. I get in, I can't see my boyfriend, presume he's just rolled up in the duvet or something, so I go over and move the duvet. He's literally not in bed. I moved the whole duvet. He's not there. I turn the light on, check the whole room top to bottom. Thought he might be pranking me and waiting to jump out or something. Nope, not there. First thought is, okay, maybe he's in the spare room on his computer having a late night. Nope. In the bathroom and we just missed each other's paths somehow? Nope. I checked the whole flat, top to bottom. Every room, doors still locked. He is generally nowhere. I would hear him if he was sleepwalking or something. Getting panicked, I text him, this is important. Where are you? Maybe for some crazy reason he'd gone out for a walk or something? I don't know. No response after a few minutes, so I decide to check around one last time. I go into the bedroom, he's in bed, the light's off, he's snoring as if he's been out for hours. I wake him up and explain everything that just happened. He groggily suggests I was dreaming, but he checks his phone and the text is there, plain as day. It definitely happened. He's convinced to this day he was asleep the whole time. The whole thing is bizarre to me. He definitely wasn't there. Where the fuck did he go? He's absolutely certain he was asleep in bed the whole time, but the text proves I wasn't dreaming and I know he wasn't there. Why would I panic and text otherwise? To this day, I have no idea what the fuck happened and I don't think I ever will. People I tell this story to are also just as perplexed. I don't think they believe me. My brother and I were playing around with Google Lenses and I jokingly scanned his face. The entire first page of results were filled with variations of the same headline. AI creates an age approximation of Hunter Reeves, missing child from the Waco massacre. Long post for a short glitch about an outlet that transformed. By wenchitywrenchwench. This one has been a hard one for me to write out for some reason. Every time I start to think about it, it just feels daunting. I've had an oddly persistent thought pop in a time or two trying to convince me that it didn't happen. But the reality of the situation so far outweighs any mental gaslighting or narrative rewrites that could possibly exist to sway me, currently at least. Not to mention the rest of my family who got to witness parts of this. So, we went on a trip in a cabin out in the Prescott National Forest, right next to the river in one of the most scenic spots we've ever been to, probably ever. The ground is covered in gold dust and glitters from crushed gemstones, and there's a quartz crystal half the size of a car engine sitting on the porch. I mean, this place checks missing 401 boxes like, whoa, and I was immensely aware of that, because those stories are horrifying. But this place wasn't, and the wood cabin itself was 2 stories, quaint open air loft that had half of the second story opened as a sleeping area with a bed, which is where my daughter was. We could look out from the area into the living room where we had an Xbox, and then our room was directly underneath her area in a closed-off room. So one Saturday/early Sunday morning, my little girl woke up late in the night and told us that she was having a hard time sleeping. We were both oddly awake too. Hours passed when we normally would fall asleep. But we both been quiet reading and watching something despite being oddly energized. So it was nothing for me to get up and help her get cozy again. We decided that the new place could be creepy with their shadows, so that maybe a light would be a good idea. But with the way our rooms were situated and how we had to keep a door open for the dogs, there was approximately 1 lamp in the cabin that would work as a nightlight rather than an all-out spotlight on one of the 3 of us. So after checking every damn light to find that out, I finally got to the one and clicked the switch only to have it not do anything. I frowned and got on the big couch chair to look behind it. I knew that's where the solitary outlet on that side of the room was, to see if perhaps the lamp had just been unplugged in between guests or something to that effect. It had been, so that was good news. But the bad news was that I watched my husband pull out this monstrous chair earlier, and it was heavy as fuck. I think I had a weary laugh under my breath and said, "Of course," and then I started to reach out to try to plug it in blindly, before freezing and having a paranoid cabin fire fear flash through my head. Because I was already suspicious of their wiring, and I've had a long irrational fear of jamming a plug into a socket in the wrong way and electrocuting myself. Falling onto an electric fence out of a tree at 10 will lead itself to those. So I was like, not today, Satan. and got down to try and wrench the chair out as quickly as I could, just so far enough that I could see behind it and see that A, the cord wasn't melted or damaged and simply unplugged for that kind of reason. It wasn't. And then B, check that each prong was going into the correct plug, and I proceeded to plug it in, the top one. Everything was going good. Voila! Light comes on, it's perfect, we all managed to fall asleep finally. Flash forward to the next afternoon when we were leaving the cabin and securing it because we were leaving the dogs as well. For some reason, our dogs love those YouTube music compilations for pets, so I stopped and turned the Xbox on and set it up. It was still plugged into the bottom outlet, and then did a sweep of the house before walking out the door. Only to have my fire fear flash through again, and I backed up right back into the house like I was put in reverse, and went directly to the lamp from the last night and turned it off. Then, after a pause, unplugged it entirely. My reason was that I didn't know why that they had left it that way, and after thinking about it, no other appliances were unplugged. So perhaps they were worried about this one or something and had forgotten to tell us? Didn't know, didn't have to think long on it because I was taking care of the problem by unplugging it anyways. Did that and left music playing, everyone content. Flash forward to the night when my husband starts feeling the effect of carrying the luggage and driving and doing all the, "No, I got it, let me do it for you," in the absolute best of the ways, just how he is, in his back. And unfortunately, I suspect we might need it, and I brought a portable back massager that he could wrap around himself, but he needed to sit somewhere other than the kitchen table for it. So I had him move over to the big chair from the other night and told him I have him set up there. He mentioned something about how he wouldn't be able to watch the Xbox if he sat there to do it, and I absentmindedly moved stuff around and set it up and responded, "No, it's fine, I unplugged that lamp earlier, that's why it's not on right now." To which he replied, "What? I'm talking about the outlet." And I'm like, right, that's what I'm saying. I don't have to unplug the Xbox because I can use the top plug where the lamp was. Wait, do you need that light on for some reason? At this point, he says no, but he's staring at me, clearly confused and trying to sort something out. But I'm basically horizontal now, just trying to plug the damn chair out and shake my head at how he's not understanding me. But I'm letting it go because he's clearly in pain. This time I only pulled it out just a bit because I had already done my checks last night. It was daylight, and thus I'd be able to see it to plug it in much easier with much less space required. But this time, when I looked down, what I saw was what initially looked like a melted top outlet. So I'm startled and call over him to come help me pull it out further because it looks like the outlet had melted. My first thoughts were, oh my god, thank god I unplugged that before I left, followed by, fuck, was I wrong to even plug it back in? Did I do this somehow? As he helped me, he said, yeah, that's what I was trying to tell you. That's why I had to plug the Xbox into the bottom one and put the charger over there. But by that time, the couch was pulled out and we're both able to get down in front of it. Only to find out that it's not only not melted, but it's not even really there at all. The entire top outlet, the exact one I had plugged the lamp into the night prior and had unplugged it from that day, was busted away and had paper and tape shoved into the outlet, preventing anything from being plugged in. It didn't look remotely new, and there's not a chance in hell that anyone was in the cabin while we were gone. The owners were gone. The doors were locked, and we are on a locked, private land that had a gate at the end of the half-mile driveway through almost vertical wilderness. And again, all that aside, I inspected it. I ran through everything I possibly can, and I have absolutely nothing. He says it was like that when we arrived, and that's why he used the bottom outlet. Yet, completely sober, completely lucid, having all these boxes I was checking off, I personally inspected that thing prior to using it, and also saw it again when I unplugged it. So, that's my glitch. We ran through everything we could, but still have nothing. Phew, so much writing for such a small moment in time. But I had to get this out in case there's a detail somewhere that I'm missing. Side note, I don't know how to rephrase. There is something palpable that happens when there's a glitch like this, and I haven't been able to put words to it. But it's like the air is fragile and could snap at any moment for those teetering moments in time. And then the confusion. But the surety sets in, and there's this vibe that something is witnessing you witness this. This was the first glitch that last part in particular felt incredibly strong for me. Something I've noticed that I've never been this attentive to detail, almost ever. I can be massively ADD, and attention to detail was definitely never written on my report cards in the good way. It was simply the clusterfuck of concern for my animals, the cabin, the fire fears in general that had me going through things uncharacteristically methodically, borderlining on OCD, if I'm being honest. I do have a picture as well as a video, but I'd rather not put the video on here since I'm in it. I never attached a photo on here. I think I've only ever seen people do it through Tumblr or Imgroom. I don't know. I'm going to have to figure it out today and put it up here if anyone's interested. And the photo is on screen for you guys. One last side note. I took these the next day before we left because I suspected the one I would try to pull from the video I had taken at the time that this had happened would be blurrier than I wanted. So, in this, the Xbox has been unplugged and packed, and the lamp is plugged in again for light. After being held in the underground bunker for 20 years, protected from nuclear fire that destroyed all life as we know it, my captor passed away, and I decided to peek out at the world. With all the people walking around in the bright sunlight, lush green grass underfoot, it's almost like... And with that, my friends, our time together is coming to an end. As always, I hope you enjoyed these stories. 5 Glitch in the Matrix Stories, Volume 19, on March the 19th. It'd probably be the only time that those two numbers coincide, so I thought I'd point it out. As always, I would like to thank the writers who let me read their stories, and to reiterate, don't drive while you're tired. I have broken this rule myself when I was younger, not realizing how dangerous it really is. It's very easy to get yourself into a lot of trouble. So if you're tired, pull off to the side of the road, try to take a nap, stop in a hotel or motel, do whatever you need to get off that road, because you're not just putting yourself in danger, you can put a lot of people in danger. And they have proven driving tired is the same as driving drunk when it's severe. So please remember to stay safe and take care of yourself. If you enjoyed these stories, hit that like button and make sure it feels it. If you're new, please subscribe and turn that pretty little bell to all notifications. And if you'd like to help this channel / podcast grow, please just share it with anyone who might enjoy it. It seriously helps out a lot. And if you'd like to help in other ways, well, I have Patreon and YouTube memberships, where for $1 a month, you get early access to these videos / audios, and a few other bonuses. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and members for your support. It helps a lot, guys. And if you like my cute little avatars on something, I do have merch. And if you'd like to do a one-time donation, well, I have PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee. All the links, including the ones to my socials, are down below. Last but never least, I would love a comment. But like I said, for March, I'm not doing a Sunday word due to the chaotic nature in my own life right now. Things have started becoming a little less chaotic in my life. Once things settle down, I kind of will give you guys some info on what happened this month. It's going to sound like less, but it was a lot. Just trust me. But as always, thank you for watching and listening. It really means the world to me, guys. Sleep tight and don't let 42 bite.